And we are live. Okay, boy, I started the record button and the go live button by mistake. So we're going. We're going as we do it this time every week. Trina, how are you?
Well,
You know,
Scott, I'm in the middle of this preparing sort of every day here for this exhibit that's opening. And we're having a press thing on Thursday, and we're having what they call a soft opening. That means it will just be up at the library for Wednesday. And that's, I think, what I mostly want to talk about, what it means, and read something that I find. One of the questions I want to ask whoever's watching is, when you do a thing like this, and there's a place for artist statement, and there's a place for all your achievements, how much do you put about your old self? 92, I have a lot of stuff that I can put up, and what should I put up? That's where nothing is up right now concerning me. It's all about Stripe and Yellow and their journey. And we have a display in the glass cases where we show some of the foreign translations, and we show how you made a book before the computer, which is certainly appropriate for a library. This is at our main public library, which is a very hopping place. You look up Montclair Public Library and you get an information full of stuff that's going on there all the time. It's an extremely popular, well-run, kind, loving place to go to. And the people who are in charge just try to make everybody feel welcome. There's also a very interesting situation where Montclair is basically a pretty wealthy town, but it has a whole series of homeless people. And at this time of the climate, this period of the climate, it's not so awful to be homeless in Montclair. But these people are there all winter long. And there's a fund that helps get everybody a sleeping bag. And there are places for a lot of people to stay, but a lot of people don't want to stay inside a place. And there's places in churches after 30 degrees, 32 degrees. I'm bringing this up right now because in the day we put up our canvases a couple of days ago, there were a lot of young people in their 20s, young people hanging out outside, eating their lunch, which they probably got from the local Tony's Food Kitchen, and we're very politely eating it at the tables outside the library. And I got to know one of the girls who had her whole life's belongings in a shopping cart, and the boys had it in great big duffel bag types of places. And I just realized how lucky I am to have a place to live and a house to go to at night and a place to sleep and enough food to eat without scrounging every day. And then, of course, the extreme of this are the people dying of famine without food or water in Gaza. And not only Gaza, but in the South Sudan and around the world in so many places. Famine is real these days. And I don't have that to experience it. And probably you don't either if you're watching this. And we'd have to be so grateful for what we do have and do what we can to change the structures that are there. So I'm still going to start a little bit today with my plants, because they keep growing. Many of the weeds are above my head, and I have to use a shovel to get them out. Some of them pull out okay. And I do have a bunch of mint here. I'll show my mint. That's not a weed. But people want it to plant right now, so I'll show you how tall it is at this point. And this is a plant that's right next to my front porch. That's now ready to go to seed. It's finishing its flowering cycle, but it's really beautiful. I must say that all my unknown things and my weeds often have flowers. And before I do I think you've seen this maybe before, and this is where their seed pods are ready to pop and spread every place. So I've been pulling that like a weed. It's a medicinal plant, but if you have 50 of them, you don't know what to do with it. it becomes a weed. I guess a weed is something that grows where you don't want it. Now here's the mint. You can see the root systems, and these root systems can stretch out 10, 15 feet. I mean inches. I haven't seen any that long, but they stretch out, and then they have little nods, and new mint can grow. And look how long and tall it is. There was nothing in the beginning of this season. Now it's June 3rd, 2024, the date of this. This is spearmint. I used to have peppermint too, but I haven't seen any for a long time. And probably the spearmint pushed it out. So here's one of those great big things, greater celandine, that has more of those popping seeds that I pulled as a weed. But look at the size of this baby. So I didn't get you bamboo today, my perennial problem, but this is the other perennial thing. This is Japanese knotweed. And see, it has this kind of red stem. You can probably see that. It's red stem. And they say that there's a certain point at which this stem, you can peel it and you can use the inside of it and make resveratrol or use the very small plants. But this is getting ready to flower. And boy, oh boy, we need to sure get it cut down. Most of it's on my neighbor's property. Oh, and here's another thing. The squirrels take the walnuts, the black walnuts in this big tree I have, and they go and they plant them. And these trees come up all over that you don't want because it has this solution in the roots that kind of poison the roots around for many of the things one wants to plant. So if you see a little black walnut tree going, you gotta get rid of it. So here we are. That's it for today. But I want to talk to you a bit about this thing. You see behind me, I'm going to change my screen so you can see the top of it. That's yellow coming to inform Stripe by just her looks to inspire him. And she does. She inspires him to turn around and get off the caterpillar pillar before it's too late. And he goes and has a dark night of the soul. This is the big one from the exhibit we had 2 years ago. And it's very iconic because I think you can see that we used it with me next to it. It's the very same picture. And this is the invitation to it that we've made. And here's the other side that has the program. So anybody near us, look up hopefortheflowers.com and you can get this and come to see us. We're having 2 open events on the Saturday afternoons from like 12 to 5 in our auditorium in our library. And so come and see us. I'll be around a lot. And if you get in touch with me, I'll probably come up to the library almost any time to tour you outside the auditorium. So we have the auditorium on the Saturday the 19th and Saturday the 29th, the final day of the show. So there we are. Now, the pictures in our exhibit are more this size. Let's see. This is not one. This is one with a text on it. The ones in the exhibit are really basically wordless, except at the very end we had words that say the end or the beginning. We left those on the last 2. And so we could see that. So this is exciting. This is exciting. And I'm trying to figure out what we put up. Like, here's something from the township of Montclair, a proclamation that was given to me for the 50th anniversary. One of these fancy seals and all that kind of stuff. And another one by our state senator from the Senate of the state of New Jersey. My goodness. It's the kind of thing that you don't have any place to ever use it. I suppose if I'd be like a doctor, you'd have a doctor's office and you'd frame something like this, but I don't have a doctor's office. But it's very, very nice to get. So I'm trying to decide and have other people help me decide what of my 92 years should go up. But I thought we'd end today. I hope I have it here. Yes. I've had many beautiful responses from people who have loved Over the Flowers over the years. But this one from the translator of the Chinese version, she's the one who got it published in the first place in a publisher in Beijing. They had it for 5 years and they did not renew their contract. So those rights are back to me, but this is in Mandarin for the mainland Chinese community. And it's a rather long email. The whole thing's quite beautiful. But I think I'll read you the part of it. What she did, she bought 50 copies, and she met with her people. I think she was a very educated, older Chinese woman. I never met her in person. We just communicated throughout this, what the names of stripe and yellow should be and that kind of thing, helped by a wonderful Japanese Korean or Chinese Korean who worked for the largest publishing company in Obunja, and I became his friend too. Hong Sung-kyun is his name. So he advised us. He did his master's in Chinese literature, so he was a very good person to advise us for these names and everything. So I consider the translation we have into simplified Chinese just wonderful. And I'm looking forward to how we put this whole thing together on ebook and publish a new edition, and who does it, and if we can manage, and who's the manager of this whole project. I don't have answers to any of that right now, because at 92, it can't be me who does all that stuff, but it's there, right there for someone. And what she did, she gathered her friends together after she gave them the 50 books out, and they had a whole discussion, and they talked about Greek philosophy. They talked about everything. And here's what she wrote in the middle of this. And for me, it's probably the most important tribute to Hope that I've ever received, at least for me, because Hope's mission is not just to sell books or to be popular in the United States in English, but to reach across the world. A friendly hand. Radical sharing, freely chosen, is the theme. So here's what she wrote. I suddenly realized this is exactly what Hope is describing. This is wonderful, Trina. Simply wonderful. By such a single, simple story, you explained the whole universe. It must have been given to you by him. That's a capitalized word. I'm sure of it now. He made you see it. And in this way. Oh, I can't explain the beauty I felt when I get all this. I mean, to make the most complex become the simplest. This is the summit of our ancient Oriental wisdom. This is beautiful, really beautiful. To find me in you and you in me. We are one in God, the love. Now, that's the Chinese translator. That's not what modern thinking about China would ever think you would receive from her. And she wanted to market it all over. But and I think her last letter to me was a couple of years later from a hospital where she had diabetes. And I think she died rather soon after that, because she wrote this letter almost like a last confession about how she went to the publisher because she was really responsible that it got published at all. And they didn't want her to have anything to do with it. And here they printed 15,000 and they only sold 45 in China, the big country, in the 5 years they had it. So I have a feeling that the image of the pillar was not conducive to the kind of new push to commercialize that was going on in China in 2010 and 11, which is when this book was published over there. So I never got, but she was not allowed to do her promotion idea that was part of what she had planned. And she was asked not to be in touch with me. So that's a rather sad little side story. But what she was in touch with me was the process of doing this book in Mandarin was so beautiful. And this letter that I just read you part of was such a wonderful tribute to hope and the image of the caterpillar becoming a butterfly, how it does transcend differences of language, culture, religion, and time. And for that, I'm so grateful for all my friends who have supported me and our little caterpillars all these many years. So thank you very much for paying attention. And dear Lou, wherever you are, you're still working at it, and you're going to be honored when we do our new Chinese publication in some way or another. It will be dedicated to you, my dear. So goodbye, everybody, and thank you for watching. And if you get to Montclair during this month of June, look up library hours for the Montclair Public Library. The exhibit will be available at any Montclair library hours. Thank you so much. Bye.